Welcome to the ylnifarmersmarket Market podcast. On this show, twice a month, we highlight and take a deep dive to get to know one of our 350 vendors of the number one market in the state of Indiana. Here's where we tell the stories that you won't hear anywhere else. I'm Adam Reno from Influencer.tv, and this show is powered by Solar Pros. For more information regarding your roof and a better option to save money on your electric bill, go to the description of this show and click the link for more information. And now, let's start the show. Today we're talking to
Brad May with May Family Urban Homestead.
May Family Urban Homestead. How long have you been doing that?
For about 2 years now.
Okay, I guess I thought it was longer.
Yeah.
Okay, so now walk me through. Are you from Fort Wayne originally?
Oh, born and raised.
Okay, so I really thought you were doing this longer than 2 years. So now we got to find out, what have you been doing?
Well, I've done a lot of things, actually. Used to wear a shirt and tie.
Oh, really?
I was a loan officer. I dabbled in insurance for a while.
Same. Okay.
Then I'm very mechanical. I've been a maintenance man for a machine shop. And actually, I was a chief engineer, great title, for a hotel at one time. And
all in Fort Wayne?
Yeah. And I've been a contractor.
Wow. Let me ask you this. Is there anything you haven't done?
No. I'm
right?
Really,
it's
know,
like,
yeah. I don't have too much pride. I'll do just about anything. But I kind of found my niche, I think, finally.
So, all right, let's walk through the story of how you got started. I assume it wasn't just 2 years ago you just had the idea. I would think that maybe this is something that you kind of were thinking about, but you pulled the trigger then 2 years ago, or no?
Well, I've always been into gardening. 30 years ago, I started a family, and my son was born, and I just always had a little garden out back, and I kind of every little journey and step in my life, I always had a garden. Didn't think much about it, and but I enjoyed it, and just as things went on and progressed, I became more and more in tune with what was the benefits of having your own garden, growing your own food, and then 4 years ago, I was working in a machine shop as a maintenance man, and doing my garden thing. And I'm always on YouTube. I'm almost full-time student of YouTube, And I came across some microgreen videos, and I was like, oh. And my wife and I, we've always been changing. It's been a journey over the probably last 10, 15 years, just trying to get more healthy, eating better health choices.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I could live on hot wings, 3 days, 3 meals a day,
Of course, yeah.
But I was watching the videos on the microgreens, and I was like, oh, I could do that. And my son had already moved out, and I was like, well, I got the basement. It was the man cave, and I basically remodeled the basement, and it's like a laboratory down there now. And I started growing the microgreens.
Mad scientist.
Yeah. It's very clean, very bright. It could be storming outside and dreary, and I'm down in the basement. It's very bright. It makes you feel pretty good, actually, and with all the green and everything growing. But I was growing microgreens, and we were eating them, and I was taking them to work and giving them to people, and then some people started buying them, and I was like, this microgreen thing, it might be able to work. And then I had a couple friends that were from the East Coast, and they got all excited about it, got me even more excited about it. It's like, oh, yeah, you could do this. And so I just kept going and kept doing with that. And then I just finally got fed up at work. I've never been one. I've always treated my jobs like they were my own, like it was my own business.
Sure.
And I tried to took things very serious, but I had an employer that's a great guy, but he lived there, And, he kind of had the mentality, maybe I should too, and calling, texting a lot after work, after hours, on the weekends. And I just, I talked to him a couple times about it, and it just didn't sink in with him. And finally, just one Sunday, he just blew up my phone, and that was it. So I went in, was going to have it out with him, and he didn't show up. And so I was like, man, it's the only job I've ever quit without a notice. And I just haven't looked back. I mean, they tried to hire me back about 8 months later, and I almost went back. But I walked into the building, and it's a machine shop, and good place, but I hate getting greasy and dirty. I was a maintenance man that hated getting dirty. Now, I can play in dirt all day long, and it won't bother me. But just grease and oil, it's just, I went in there, and the smell, and I was like, yeah, I don't think so. So I just, I dumped everything into this business, I put my retirement into it, and buying equipment. I mean, there's a lot more to it than, you can do it on your kitchen counter or a little space, but if you're going to really do it, I go all out if I'm going to do something, so, I bought all the right equipment and the trays, and put everything together, and I've been going strong ever since now.
Now, explain a little bit. You mentioned your friends on the East Coast were excited and this. Can you explain a little bit what Microgreens actually is?
Okay, yeah. So a lot of people know what sprouts are. And sprouts are just seeds that have been put into water, and they've soaked, and then they put them in a jar, and they rinse them a few times, and in 3 to 5 days, you have sprouts.
Sure, everyone's seen little short videos on Instagram or something, right? Like,
yeah.
Like stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, microgreens are the next stage in growth. So sprouts just grow, and you can grow this in a jar, but microgreens generally grow in a medium or on a medium, I use coconut coir, which is completely sterile. I started out with potting mix because that's what most microgreen farmers do. And then I just started thinking, I was like, well, I don't make this potting mix. I really don't know what it is. And anymore, it's hard to trust what the label says on anything.
Yeah. I was just about to ask, why did you do it that way? But now it sure makes sense.
Yeah,
you don't know 100%.
Right.
So
cocoa coir is completely sterile. It's just shredded up coconut husk, and it's generally washed several different times because it does have high sodium without being washed. And so it's just something for the roots to sink into and to grow.
Oh, okay. And
I do this in my home, so the whole idea of bringing dirt into my house just didn't kind of jive with me either. So, the cocoa coir is clean.
Yeah.
And, if I'm pretty thorough when I harvest, but if I did make a mistake and I had a little bit of grow medium that got in with my microgreens, I'm not too concerned that I'm going to hurt anybody with its coconut husk. It's nothing that's going to hurt anybody. Potting mix could have worm casting, perlite, or compost or something, in there. So I just felt better with the coconut coir.
So let's talk through 2 years ago as you were getting rolling. I'm curious, what was something that came up that you were not prepared for, or that looking back you're like, boy, that was crazy, I didn't know that was going to happen? Do you know what I mean? Anything unexpected?
Well, I didn't think of it's the hardest thing, and I think every microgreen farmer has washing trays. Again, I'm very thorough about what I do. I just don't hose them off. So it's a lot of work.
It's tedious work.
Yeah. I literally had to replumb I put a sink into my basement. I bought a double basin utility sink, but a double one because I had it big enough for the trays.
Like the restaurants.
I bought one of those, and it wasn't really. The first one I bought was huge, and it wouldn't fit in my basement. And then the second one I bought, it was more adapt to a food truck. And so it really wasn't, so I was like, okay, because I really wanted stainless steel. This one is more of a composite plastic kind of thing. It's one basin is pretty large, so it's
That's what you have now?
Yeah, and so one side I wash my trays. First of all, after I harvest them, so I got the stack of trays. It's at the grow medium and it cut off, so it's the roots and everything, and I have a stack of them. So I carry those out of the basement out back, and I have a wheelbarrow, and I empty the grow medium in that. And then before I had that sink, I was hosing them off, and I had a big tub that I used bleach water and Dawn dish detergent, and so I scrub them clean, then I rinse them, and then they have to be dried out, and then take them back down the basement. So now I just empty them, take them back down in the basement, and then I clean them. So that I wasn't prepared for, because that's a lot of work. So each tray of microgreens, that's a 10 by 20 tray, there's 2 trays. One's a solid one, and then there's one that's a perforated one. And so for each tray, there's actually 2.
You mentioned hard work. What would you say to someone who was looking to become an entrepreneur and kind of start their own thing? Maybe not in necessarily the microgreen field, but just in general, and they knew you, and they said, hey, what advice do you have for me? I'm looking to be an entrepreneur.
You sit back, think it through in all aspects of it, start to finish it, visualize it.
Like washing trays.
yeah. I just didn't, I just thought wash trays. Well, there's a little bit more to it. That is probably my biggest hurdle. Of Monday is my tray, which I'll be washing trays tonight. And so, that's like Wednesday, the hump day. I got to get past Monday, and everything else is pretty easy after that.
Yeah.
It's a scheduling. You're scheduling when somebody wants to start a business. You got to, being an entrepreneur, there's no time clock to punch.
It could be 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to set a schedule, and you got to treat it like a job. Like, you got to be a hard boss on yourself,
Yeah.
If you're going to be successful. Because it's, if you say, I work for myself and I can kick back and take it easy. Yeah. You're not going to be making it. You're going to be back punching a clock before you know it, because you got to work hard. I work harder now than I did when I was, punching a clock. I was making more money back then, but
100%. So these days are crazy for me. So I have my San Francisco 49er podcast that I do before this. Then I have our live radio show that we do before this. Then we have this podcast. Then I help with a Fort Wayne political podcast that I help put together. Then after that, late at night, is a sports podcast. That's like 5 things.
Wow.
That all in this day. I mean, and I would want to just sit back, but this is also fun. I love getting to know the stories. I love, getting to know the information that I think all of the people in our community that what they want to hear. That's why I asked more about microgreens. I don't think I'm the only one that wasn't too sure. So I asked because I want to know, and the people that listen want to know, and I like doing that. So it's fun, but this is work. I mean, I'm at work right now, right? But it's when you do something that you love, it's the payoff is, even though it's not maybe as much money as when you punched in, and especially with like you sold insurance. I used to sell insurance. I mean, there's good money to be made, and slinging loans and stuff. I mean, you can make good money, but I'd rather be doing this, So no, I love that. So then coming to the market, did you know, yep, I'm doing the market right away, or like, how did that go?
Well, I mean, I knew growing the microgreens, I just, who do I sell these to? And as I heard about the Fort Wayne farmers markets. We used to go down there occasionally on there. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I went into this with the mentality that this is where I'm going to get my customers, because I really, and this is what I'm still focused on, is I deliver. I have a home delivery program that I do every Friday. So I grow, I harvest on Friday, and then I deliver on Fridays. And my wife does most of my deliveries now. That really helps me to keep focused, because then I can keep harvesting, because I got to finish harvesting for the market on Saturday. And so my mentality going into the market, I was only going to do it a year. I thought I was going to get all these customers, and then I wouldn't do the market anymore. But I actually love the market. So meeting all the people, and I have regular customers. Our customers are awesome. They're diehard customers. Now, my particular demographic or group of customers are people that are coming in down there and they're shopping for food. And so I have my regulars, but what I've discovered is they love coming to the market, and they really don't, the majority of them don't need a home delivery. Now, occasionally, if they're not going to be able to make it to the market,
they'll hit you
they
up,
can contact me. I have a text group that I send text out every Thursday on,
nice.
And so it's just I do it where it's private, but it's a mass text, so nobody sees that. I've slipped up once in a while, and I've had the whole group, and I was like, oh, I had to delete it real fast. So I just send a group out saying, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what we have available. And if they want some products delivered, they if they're already set up with me, I have their address and so forth, and so they just text me back with their order, and then so now I have my orders, and I start harvesting late in the morning on Fridays, and that gives time for everybody on Thursday or Fridays to reach out to me.
Yeah.
And I put together all those, and then we kind of go from there. After that, my wife get her all set up. She runs the deliveries, and then then I keep on going and get going for Saturday. I'm trying to get, it's a refining process too, because, I a lot of times when I'm up to wee hours in the morning Friday, I'm getting 2 hours of sleep before the market, but they're fresh. I guarantee you they're fresh when they come.
Yeah, no kidding. You mentioned, regular customers. I know our market director, Ashley, is one of your regulars. Yeah. She always is getting stuff. We'll be walking around doing something, taking some pictures or doing an interview or something, and she'll walk by with me and she'll say, oh, hold on, I got to get my microgreens.
Yeah. She either gets broccoli or chia. And most of the time I have the chia, but I don't have it every single time. And so, but I grow that specifically for her. So
nice.
And I did research on it, so it's really, really healthy. And so that's when I started, and I kind of explained that to Ashley, and then I think she looked it up and researched it as well, because I always encourage people to look the stuff up for themselves. And then I just kind of forgot about it, and then she kind of got on me about it, because hey, I wasn't getting them, growing them again, and so and again, I got to always have the seeds, so it's one that I don't sell a lot of, but it's really good. But we put them in smoothies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's an easy way to get them into your diet too.
Yeah, love a good smoothie.
That's why with the people at the market, it gives me opportunity to share. When I learn something, I love sharing what I learn. And if I come across something new or something that's good for you, and like I said, I'm a carnivore, so eating greens and veggies is really that's not first nature for me, So
yeah,
it's been an adjustment and change. But now I crave the stuff now because I've eaten it long enough. Not all of the microgreens taste good to me, but I would put them in smoothies. So smoothies is an easy way to get that nutrition in.
Yeah.
Without having to worry about the taste. Oh, they're greens and stuff, because you get occasional people that walk by. Oh, that's green stuff. No.
Yeah. Like, I don't want that. Right. Well, especially you got some really maybe unhealthier options at the market that taste so good. I mean, we have to admit it's like that's kind of tough. I get it, but yeah, the market's great because of the other vendors and the regulars that come, where everyone is just kind of like a family. You get to know a lot of those people. Just check in with this person, like, oh, hey, how's it going? Right. And that kind of thing. And it's great now that we've been outside for a little while. Like, it's so great being outside. It's just a different animal than being inside. It's just everyone's just in a better mood. I don't know what it is about the Midwest, but people go crazy when it's good weather.
Right.
So
I love being outside. It's definitely a lot more work because
you have to. So a lot of people may not know this who listen to this podcast, but the vendors, I'll spill the beans for you. So the vendors in the winter when we are at the Summit City Brewworks building, that the old East End at 1501 East Barry, the vendors can leave all their stuff there. They just have to take their product back and forth, right, which is really nice to leave the setup that way. You're in that corner there by Lou Garden, right, when it's on the inside.
Right.
And then when you come outside, of course, everyone knows you pack up every time because that's right, literally Bar and Barry. Those are streets. You can't just right, leave your stuff there. But it's a hassle. You got to park up close. Then you got to bring your stuff. Then you got to move your car because we can't have you taking up spots for the customers.
Right.
So then you got to park far. Then you got to go through the whole day. Some days are hotter than others, or if it rains or whatever, we don't cancel. Then you got to do the same thing in reverse order. Get the car, do all this. I mean, sometimes it's 2 o'clock before people are out of there, and they've been there. The market's 9 to 1, but there's no way any vendor is just there 4 hours. Yeah. It's impossible. So now you're there maybe 6 hours, 7 hours, and on 2 hours of sleep sometimes. Yeah. So the life of a vendor can be really, really tough. And so when we talked about like being an entrepreneur and sitting back and just, no, it's not set up that way. Right. And you're definitely a example of that.
Yeah. Well, that's something that, you had mentioned earlier, advice for somebody that wants to get into business for themselves,
Yeah.
Scheduling, and definitely schedule downtime for yourself, because, I have failed to do that for this first 2 years. We haven't had a vacation in a couple of years now because when do you do it? And so you got to just schedule it, And I like to go fishing. I got a boat that hasn't been in the water for 2 years. It's nothing fancy, but it's my boat. And
it's yours, and it's what you want to do. But
yeah, so you definitely need to schedule so you don't get overly burnt out.
Yeah.
And the customers, if you do it right, if your regular customers, if you can set it up and let them know, hey, if
you
you're
won't
going
be
to
there, and yeah.
And my products last a long time, so if somebody knows they're not going to be available, you can double up and you'll have enough and it lasts.
Yeah, that's a good point. One question then is, you mentioned like the text line and how people can get a hold of you and things like that. What is the best way to get a hold of you if they have a question on a particular product, if you're going to have like chia or something like you mentioned or whatever? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, I try to because everybody is more comfortable with whatever it is they're comfortable with. So I tell them, you can call me. I'm available. I answer my phone almost all the time. The only time is if I'm busy doing something like this or, I'm in the bathroom,
Right. Hopefully you're not going to answer the phone right now.
Yeah. But, so they can call me, they can text me, they can email me. It's just whatever they're more comfortable with, and as far as communicating with someone, they can get me through social media. We have the Facebook and the Instagram.
Okay.
We don't do the TikTok, as they thought the Facebook and Instagram's enough.
It's a lot to keep up with.
And my wife handles it all for me on that now, too. So she does a great job with that.
Okay. And what's the email? Say the email.
The email is Mayfamily UHS Urban Homestead. I know it's not how it's spelled, but Mayfamily UHS at gmail.com.
Okay.
And I didn't want a big, at Mayfamily Urban Homestead or whatnot. Gmail is universal. It transfers with no matter what you're doing. So
sure. Yep. Okay. So you can email Brad for questions on. I had questions. I wasn't quite sure, and I had seen your stuff. Yeah. I see your booth all the time and talk to you, but I wasn't positive on exactly what it was. So if you have other questions or a particular order that you're looking for, especially a bulk order, things like that, make sure you email Brad. Are you ready for the last question?
Sure.
You mentioned you've seen some of the other shows, but have you seen the last questions before or no?
No.
Okay. And I guys who are longtime listeners, I think of people like Darren at Moonlight Farms. He watches these all the time. And I love when people have seen it, but they haven't heard the last question because they don't know what's coming.
Okay.
And so we're always like, oh, okay, so here it is.
Okay.
So we are pretending that the mayor of Fort Wayne has commissioned you to she wants to make a sign that is big enough for the entire city to see. So let's just pretend the AEP building is going to go up there, or Fred Grody is going to fly it on his plane, right?
Okay.
Right. All right. So one of those, but you get to say what it says. So she fully trusts you and says, Brad, I need you to come up with of what you want it to say, but all of the area is going to see it. What does it say?
Well, that's my slogan. May Family Urban Homestead, helping you eat better.
Okay.
We that's what we do. We help people eat better.
Yeah, no, I like that. Helping you eat better. Yeah, it's a difficult thing to always be eating better when there's so many options that taste good that are unhealthy.
Right.
And in the Midwest, I just feel like that there's always something bad for you that you can eat, and it's a struggle for a lot of people. So if you can see that, like on a sign, it kind of reminds you to eat healthy. And there's so many benefits when I notice my energy and things like that when I eat on weeks where I eat better and drink water and do stuff like that. I feel so much better than if I'm in a hurry and I do fast food and then I pay for it later.
Oh, right. Well, I tell people, because it's not, microgreens isn't a fix-all. Microgreens are highly nutritious. They're superfoods.
Yeah.
So I just tell people to make small changes. Just don't try to do it all at once. If you're trying to get healthier, just make one change at a time until you get in that groove, and then you add something in there instead of trying to do everything at once. You don't want to get discouraged.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Baby steps a little bit to get you going so that you can see progress. So see Brad every Saturday at the Ylni Farmers Market from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thanks for being on.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Ylni Farmers Market podcast. Remember, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so that you can be notified when new episodes drop. A big special thanks to our sponsors, the Solar Brothers. For more information on how you can save money on your energy bill, give them a call at 833-765-2276. Also, 260 Roofing for a free estimate on your roof. Call them at area code 260-800-3031. Remember, for more information on the Ylni Farmers Market, you can always follow us on our Instagram and Facebook page at Ylni Farmers Market. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.